Committee Chair Perry and Ranking Member Stanton for convening today's hearing on federal real estate. So a lot's happened at the GSA since the beginning of this year. At the beginning of the year, GSA's Public Buildings Service had 5,655 full-time employees. Now that number is 3,126. That total would be even lower, but GSA reversed course on 392 departures after realizing its inability to get all of its work done. At the beginning of the year, the Public Building Service, or PBS, had 11 distinct geographic regions, but after a reorganization, PBS is now structured, quote, based on an integrated functional operations, which are essentially managed with a portfolio structure that continues to support a geographic presence nationwide. What does that mean? I don't know. At the beginning of the year, PBS used its purchasing power to encourage commercial landlords and federal agency tenants to adopt environmentally sustainable practices to reduce the impact of climate change, promote energy efficiency, and save money. But this administration rescinded federal building sustainability requirements and terminated PBS's efforts to lease space for federal tenants in green buildings. At the beginning of the year, the White House had an east wing, and now it does not. At the beginning of the year, there were no plans to build a privately funded ballroom on the White House grounds, but that's exactly what is happening without the collaboration of Congress, without the collaboration of the National Capital Planning Commission or the Commission on Fine Arts. The president started the project without first notifying the public or consulting experts. We still don't know how much it will cost, what it will look like, who is paying for construction, and who will be responsible for ongoing maintenance and repairs. Over the course of the year, agencies were directed to identify underutilized and unneeded owned and leased space for disposal. And DOJ and OMB utilized this information to terminate 260 leases. That's an achievement. But there was also significant chaos and mixed messaging surrounding the disposal of buildings and the termination of leases. In March, GSA published a list of 440 properties it intended to dispose of, but the list disappeared from its website within hours after observers noted that the list included the headquarters of more than a dozen agencies, including its own. GSA then issued a revised list with only 320 entries, but that list also disappeared from GSA's website the next day. Now, earlier this week as well, Bloomberg Law reported the White House is independently soliciting bids to recommend the demolition of 4 buildings, federal buildings in Washington, D.C. without the input of the GSA. According to a former director of GSA's Office of Planning and Design, GSA has, quote, sole authority over this process, yet has not followed the procedures required under historic preservation and environmental laws for these buildings to be destroyed. Now, I will say I'm very pleased the GSA is making progress on 3 Washington State land ports of entry. They'll have to be in my district. But it's taken a while to get to where we are even today. During a recent meeting of the Whatcom Council of Governments, GSA staff shared plans to combine the design-build contracts for the Kenneth G. Ward Land Port of Entry in Linden and the Sumas Land Port of Entry in Sumas. The current expectation is that Linden will start its construction and modernization first, then Sumas will follow approximately midway through construction. This provides port operators the ability to divert at least some of the Sumas commercial traffic to the modernized Linden port while the Sumas port is modernized. Combining 2 of these projects will enable them to complete both ports in 3 years instead of 4, and hopefully for less money, something that we can all support. In conclusion, the administration said from the outset that it plans to shrink the government's real estate holdings by offloading unnecessary leases and federal buildings, and that is a laudable goal. As I started talking yesterday with Chair Perry, having a smaller and fuller federal footprint should be our goal. But the president has not been forthcoming about the details and decision-making, and that is cause for concern. So I thank our witnesses for appearing before us today, and hopefully we can get some answers. I look forward to their testimony. That I yield back.
Chair thanks the ranking member of the